Jensen. Appreciate y'all.
There's two right there. Top two. Oh, okay. Mr. Chairman and members, I passed out an additional copy of the text amendments. There was two additions to the minutes, to the amendments that went out in your packet. I'll go over those shortly. This first amendment, back in February, oh, you don't, all that wording up there?
They can see the,
There you go. Oh, pay attention. Back in February of this year, the county established a new reporting structure. And with the establishment of this new reporting structure, certain positions and titles were eliminated. There was also changes in certain titles, and divisions became departments. This amendment is to align our ordinance with that restructuring. It in no way changes the intent of the ordinance. It's just strictly a change in terminology, and I'll go through those rather quickly. You can see here that the things that were changed were the executive director position and title was eliminated. Planning division director was changed to planning director, and planning division was changed to planning department. And I'll go through these real quickly. You can see that in all cases, it's, most time it's deleting division. And here you see that division was changed to departments. Division director was changed to planning director. Division department, planning division to planning department. That goes through here. And the one I'd like to point out that was a little different in your handout that I missed one of them, it's under this 80.080-F final plats, number 6, acceptance of dedication. For some reason, as I was going through, I missed that, and so that has been added to the packet. So as I was going through searching for all the places where that was in the ordinance, you can see it was several places. Somehow I overlooked that, so I wanted to make sure that y'all saw that because it wasn't in your packet. Again, it's mostly eliminating divisions. On this last page here, you can see that the executive director of that position was eliminated, so that was completely taken out. And the last two is just changing planning division director to planning director. So like I say, these were all just terminology, didn't change the intent of the ordinance. It was strictly a change in terms. Is there any questions about that one?
On 7B, Dick.
I'm sorry, which one?
7B, back to the very first, is that, there's a hyphen in director?
Yeah, the very first one?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I missed that.
That's okay. Somebody will change that though, right?
Yeah, I need to change that one.
Okay.
Also is when I converted, when I pull things from the ordinance, things that was hyphenated in the ordinance remained hyphenated, and as you can see, I didn't catch all those. Any other questions or, just so we really, there's no question about what y'all saw. On the very first one, Lee took out that comma after director. I think the one I handed out to y'all still had that comma in there. So that comma after director is also deleted, so that we have exactly what y'all saw will go to the Board of County Commissioners. It'll be, so.
I'd move to approve the text amendment, executive director and planning division director as amended by staff.
Motion's been made. Do we have a second? Robert, thank you. All those in favor of accepting as the motion was made, raise your right hand. Okay, thank you very much. Motion passes.
The second text amendment we have, we had some questions about when we can have a rehearing on an application that was either denied or withdrawn after the planning board considerations. And there were two different versions in there. There was for rezonings, it really didn't spell out what the conditions were. It just says, you can see in that top line that was deleted, It says, unless the Board of Commissioners find that there have been substantial changes in conditions or circumstances bearing on the application. And there was some confusion about what conditions and circumstances they're talking about. Are they talking about a change in the application? Are they talking about a change in the property or in the area? And so in order to make that clearer and where the commissioners would not have to try to decide which changes they're talking about, we were recommending that, as you read it now, that the administrator may not accept a zoning map amendment application for the same property within 12 months of the date that an application has been denied by the Board of Commissioners, has been withdrawn by the applicant after planning board consideration, or a zoning map amendment for a more restricted classification has been requested by the applicant and has been approved by the Board of Commissioners. And that, the second one is the same thing. And the things I passed out, this number 3 was something that the legal, when they reviewed it, they wanted to add. So this is something new that wasn't in the packet that went out. That the time limit imposed by this subsection, 80.040-J, does not apply to the initiation of a zoning map amendment by the Board of Commissioners. So we're taking out that the only condition where it can be reheard is it has to be 12 months has to pass since it was denied or withdrawn, except for the Board of Commissioners, they can initiate rezonings within that 12-month period. The other situations you'll see with the second one is that there were different conditions for a special use permit. Again, it reads about the same, that, you know, one's been either withdrawn or denied unless the Board of Adjustment first approves the applicant's request for an earlier hearing, and then it lists a bunch of things there that significant physical or economic or land use changes take place, or there's a new evidence discovered. So again, to make them, to align the two where the conditions were the same, we were recommended that also with special use permits, that once it's denied or withdrawn, that 12 months have to pass. So that in this case, the Board of Adjustment is not having to make a determination of what those conditions are and are they significant. So that both of them now will be 12 months past, and then the attorneys also added this last sentence that the time limitation imposed does not apply to special use permits initiated by the Board of Commissioners.
Mr. Black, can you just explain to me what type of special use permits are initiated by the Board of Commissioners?
Well, I'm not sure, but I think that the legal wanted to cover all the bases in case that case did arise that this did not affect them. But I've been here, 19 years, and but
It could be a situation. I know when I was zoning administrator, we had a case where the board was actually the applicant. We had the radio towers.
oh, that's right.
Up in, when the county implemented a new radio system back 2007, 2008, in that time period, they had to build several, I think 500 to 700 foot radio towers around the county, and those require special use permits. So that would be that could be a scenario where the board would be the applicant.
Okay.
So in case someone had come in for a rezoning on that piece of property, special use permit, been turned down, then they could come back. Any other questions related to?
This seems to me to be a little bit superfluous language for the board. The board is not going to deny their own application. Have to worry about bringing it in 12 months. But
No, I guess it would apply if someone came in for a special use permit on the property for something else, and the Board of Adjustment denied that, and then later on, that became a site for, like Lee was pointing out, for a tower, then they would not be limited by the 12-month requirement.
Okay. Anybody have any more questions for Mr. Black? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it very
move
much.
to approve the text amendment on successive applications as presented by staff.
The motion's been made. Do we have a second? Patrick, thank you. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, next, we have item number, just a second, where am I?
8.
Number 8, setbacks. Is that right? Yep. Item number 8, setbacks.
Even Chairman, members of the Planning Board, this agenda item is actually a correction from about 2 years ago where, to our understanding, we presented to you the right way, and what got presented to the County Commission was twisted a little bit, and so it actually got approved as what was an error. And so what you have in here in your agenda packet with the red strike through obviously is the deletions, and the green addition is the green text is the additions, is a flip-flop of how we treat setbacks off of right-of-way. As it's currently written, it says the setback would be measured from the center line, or 30 feet from the right-of-way line, which is the exact opposite of what the intention was. It was supposed to be measured from the right-of-way line or starting 30 feet from the center line, which is the typical DOT right-of-way, 30 feet off a center line or 60 feet total. So the request of you is to approve this modification, which will actually bring it back to what was initially intended for the County Commission to approve for the UDO.
Okay, do we have any comments or questions for Bjorn pertaining to this? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve the text amendment regarding measuring setbacks as proposed by staff.
Okay, we've had a motion. Do we have a second? Robert, thank you. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay. Next is the Kiehl's Road abandonment.
I'm just going to bring up the county's Go Maps for you guys real quick. All right. So Kiehl's Road is not really even a road, but it is on the state maintenance system, and it's off of Weddington Road. This is Airport, so it's just to the east of Airport, kind of between Airport Road and St. John's Forest. This property currently is a field. There used to be some chicken houses right there a long time ago. This road used to go a little bit further back when Villages of Wesley Chapel was developed, which is this subdivision. That's where the old home place for the folks that own that farm was located. And this road really was their driveway. The only place this road went was off of 84 back to the house, provided access to the chicken houses and the single-family home. Part of it was paved, part of it was gravel. Somehow it ended up on the state maintenance system. Fast forward to 2014, a subdivision, actually a rezoning request, was approved on this property. So that's all one parcel. Rezoning request is approved for a PUD 14 zoning district, which was under the old land use ordinance. And the PUD 14 district included all these provisions for, it was really for mixed use development. And our PUD provisions were really kind of strange. They were hard to enforce, hard to explain to people. So when the new ordinance was being proposed, staff proposed eliminating the PUD district. That's why you don't see it in your current ordinance. So in 2014, before the new ordinance was adopted, The Board of Commissioners approved a rezoning request to rezone this to PUD 14, which allowed some commercial development in this section of the property, some higher density residential development here, and lower density here. That was approved. It's a vested project. When the new ordinance was adopted in late 2014, we worked with the developer. Nobody wanted it to be a PUD zoning. We recognized it was hard to deal with. The applicant had recognized that it was hard to deal with. So we worked with the developer of the property to rezone those underlying PUD districts to just regular conditional zoning districts that has a plan associated with it. So I think in 2016, that rezoning request was approved. And the subdivision plan part of this is in review now. It is consistent with the approved rezoning request that was done back in 2016. None of the approvals from the PUD district to the conditional rezoning request included this Kiehl Road alignment. It doesn't really go anywhere. Doesn't provide access to anything. So as part of that development, they have requested that be abandoned. When an application is filed for abandonment with DOT, they send it over to the county or the city whose jurisdiction that state road number is in for a recommendation, a resolution on that abandonment request. As part of our process here in Union County, we take that to the planning board for a recommendation. Staff also gives a recommendation, kind of like a rezoning to the board. We'll also conduct a public hearing before the Board of County Commissioners. We don't anticipate any major issues with this. The property owner on either side of this is the same person. The property owners that back up to this property recognize that this road will never be built, so they were okay with it as well. So we're just asking for a recommendation from the planning board on the abandonment of that right of way. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Anybody have any questions for Lee on this?
I got a question. So
Yes, sir.
essentially, it becomes one parcel,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that public right of way will just be dissolved.
right?
Yeah.
And so, and the previous plans, development plans, have no use for that?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir. You know, if we were looking at this today, if this was a rezoning request today, and say we had a clean slate and Villages of Wesley Chapel wasn't here, we would probably want to have a stub street going there, and we would probably connect it in, but that wasn't done. I think Villages of Wesley Chapel was planned in the late 90s. I think before any of us were here, before you guys were on the planning board. So, you know, so it doesn't really serve any purpose right now. It's just not utilized in the layout of the streets. In the new neighborhood that's planned here, the new neighborhood does provide some connectivity through. There is a street that intersects with Weddington Road, and you can take that street network through to Airport. So it does provide a little bit of connectivity through the neighborhood, but this road doesn't provide any access for anything.
Any other questions? Lee, is anybody here, any of the property owners here or anything?
No, sir.
Okay, good. Do we have a motion to approve or disapprove the Kiehl's road abandonment topic?
We'll move we approve Kiehl's road abandonment as shown by the staff.
Okay, thanks, Charlie. Do we have a second?
So moved.
Patrick, thank you. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, we appreciate that. Thank you very much. Okay, continuing on, as we said earlier, Poplar Meadows is deferred to July. Next topic is CZ 2019-007, Newtown Ross property. Lee?
First thing we want to do in the,
Agenda packet was originally prepared, we did not receive the STAMS analysis on the property. We've since got that. So when you look in your staff report, under the school section, it'll say, I think it says pending UCPS analysis. And that's their analysis. They were a little bit late this time. They kind of changed the way they
Thank you, sir.
went about doing their analysis, so that's why it took them a little bit longer this time. So, as you stated, this is CZ 2019-007. Our working title for this is Newtown Road Ross property. That old shouldn't be in there. I think I made a mistake on that. This is a request to amend the zoning map for Union County to rezone a parcel of land from RE40, which is residential agricultural, to R4 conditional. This request, they've requested the rezoning in order to develop a single-family neighborhood with a maximum of 95 houses. The project consists of common open space for use by the residents. The project's access will come from one full movement access point off of Newtown Road, and the project will meet setbacks of 20 feet in the front, 30 feet in the rear, 5 feet on the sides. Overall density of the project is approximately 2.9 units per acre. And since this is a conditional request, the district will be bound by all conceptual plans and conditions that are approved as part of the process. This is a conceptual plan that was submitted by the applicant. As you can see, again, 95 units, 2.9 units per acre. There is the access point off of Newtown Road. You have lots running on that. You have a good bit of open space throughout the project. There is a stub street that staff asked for to connect to this property. There's a couple of lots that front on it as well. So hopefully in the future, if this property is developed, they'll be able to access that and have a secondary access onto Potter. Few of the pictures for the property. This is Newtown Road. This is looking toward the intersection of Potter, so that's the church right there on the left, right before you get to Potter Road. The top right is looking along Newtown back toward Monroe. This is a view into the property from Newtown, and this is directly across the street. The property to the north, portions of that development are in the town of Wesley Chapel. And that was a satellite annexation. It's not contiguous with the town of Wesley Chapel. The vast majority of Wesley Chapel is across Potter Road, and actually on the other side of the of East Fork of 12 Mile Creek. So this is probably pretty close to their limit as far as what they can do with satellite annexation. And as you can see, it's not the entire subdivision, it's individual properties. The town does not actually touch this piece because there's some common area in between. But I do like to point out town is close by, Wesley Chapel's there. Property's 32.83 acres. Surrounding land uses are primarily low to medium density residential. You've got some low density housing development just to the east, and then again to the north, that's Winding Creek subdivision. There are a couple institutional uses. You have a church here. I said a couple, just one. Wesley Chapel Town Hall used to be in one of these houses, but I think they've since moved. Most of the properties in this area are served by Union County Water and Sewer. However, some are still served by well and septic systems. This project is proposed to be served by Union County Water and Sewer. It will require extensions for both water and sewer. The nearest water main is located at the intersection of Newtown and Potter, and the nearest sewer main is located in the Winding Creek subdivision, so they will need a small extension for that. And that will be at the developer's expense. The parcel has been zoned RA40 since Union County established zoning. There have been no rezoning requests or special use requests related to this property. Schools.
The project will be within the Parkwood school cluster. So the elementary school is Western Union, the middle and high, again, Parkwood. All of those are currently under capacity. Western Union is 67% of capacity. Parkwood Middle is 79%, and Parkwood High is 83%. And the school's comment was the proposed subdivision should not adversely affect enrollments at these schools. No major environmental features are present on the property. You do have a floodplain that kind of goes through the Winding Creek subdivision. But on this property, there's no major environmental features. All the stormwater would flow toward that floodplain. These are all two-lane roads in this area. There's like a four-way stop at Potter and Newtown. A few traffic counts in the area, 3,600 vehicle trips a day just north of the intersection on Potter, and about 4,700 trips per day east of the site on Newtown Road. Our land use plan calls, this property lies inside the mixed residential category of the plan. That it does anticipate higher density residential patterns with varying housing types, such as townhomes, patio homes, and apartments. Since it is inside that mixed residential category, higher density single-family neighborhoods are anticipated. And as far as staff comments go, it appears that this is consistent with the comprehensive plan. We've had significant conversations with the developer, and all of our concerns, most of our concerns have been addressed, and we do recommend approval of the rezoning. I'll be happy to answer any questions you guys have.
Does anyone have any questions for Lee? Okay, thank you, Lee. Appreciate that. Is there anyone here that would like to, from the applicant standpoint, that wants to make any comments? Yes, sir. Give us your name and address, where you live.
Sure
Cetera,
thing.
please.
Mike Theberg, I'm representing the applicant and with Bowler Engineering, and I live at 6720 Hollow Oak Drive in Mint Hill. Just a quick presentation, not a whole lot more than what Lee had, but just a few other pieces of information for you guys. All right, so here's a slightly more graphical view of the property, just to give a little bit more context. Again, as Lee mentioned, it's 95 single-family detached homes that are proposed. Did bring a laser pointer, but hopefully you guys can see the mouse on the screen too from your screen. So there's the entrance that Lee was talking about. We had good correspondence back and forth with NCDOT. They were requiring a left turn lane into that entrance with 100 feet of storage. So that's what we would be proposed. There was not otherwise a TIA required since there was less than 99 or less homes. The DOT also commented that they wanted this stretch of road to be a wider collector street section up until basically that branching point. It's a slightly wider pavement section than the rest of the subdivision, basically 6 or 8 feet wider. Can't remember exactly, but just to allow for a little bit more traffic flow on that first bit. One of the things with staff and Bjorn had brought up that I just wanted to point out, since you could see it here, the community mailbox. I think putting it here, Bjorn, that kind of makes sense to that's a little bit further back from the entrance and then out of the way a little bit more. And
Yeah, the concern was that now that we have these community mailboxes instead of regular mailboxes, the dynamic is people are going to do it in the evening. Unfortunately, this is on the exit side, and so the concern was that you got people parking in crazy places to walk across to different bail, so we could either flip it or put it
So, I mean, we just want to, there's no problem addressing that concern. Does this kind of location I'm generally circling here kind of make sense? I mean, that way you'd be coming in, you'd be able to pull off in there, pick up your mail, and go about your way. Oh, so anyway, just a minor point, but just want to make sure we're touching on everything. We're definitely trying to preserve, good stands of trees in the back of the property. This is from aerial as close as we can kind of get, again, with the thought of this being, a community walking trail, some type of gazebo or pavilion, open air, and again, tree safe where possible in the center area to try to just enhance the feel of the community. And then, like Lee had mentioned, just one pond up here is kind of where most of the site wants to drain. So that's kind of where that would want to naturally be with the grade of the land out there today. Any I guess bigger picture questions on the layout? I had a few other slides and points, but not a whole lot. Just general context of where the site was out there, South 84. As Lee mentioned, the site is in the mixed residential area, so this is a supported use and density in that zone. Traditional HOA development. School districts do have capacity. Those are recent numbers, even from Melissa Merrill. They're just recently issued that projection for next school year. And then I have a few slides on just some representative architecture. It would be a mix of brick or stone with hardy plank type siding. It's the render again. School data that kind of already touched on, and all the long-term trends in the schools look positive too from the latest study that Union County Public Schools has published, even out through 2027. Here's just some representative architecture. I said a mix of different materials. Other possible example. Third. Just is there's certainly be some variability to that, but that would be just to get the general intent of the neighborhood. Any other questions you guys have?
What's the width of the majority of the streets in the development?
Most of the streets, except for that front one, would probably be, I think it was 22 or 24 feet wide. It would all be roll curb because of the driveways. So it would be, more than adequate for fire and that sort of thing. The parking, I think most of the houses would be 2-car garages and 2-car, room for 2 cars in the driveways. If the concern was on street.
Most of them, are there going to be, what are going to be the ones with the 2-car pads? Are they going to have 2-car pads, or they're not going to have 2-car pads?
Yeah, they will have 2-car pads.
Each and every building?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any other questions? Charlie, I appreciate you asking that question. That was a concern I had. Glad to get that cleared up. Any questions for this gentleman? Anybody have any?
This isn't a age-targeted or restrictive community, correct?
Correct. It would be a traditional development. Yeah, this is the plan.
And do you guys have any idea in terms of price point median for the houses?
For the houses?
Correct.
Come forward up to the, please, sir.
I'm Scott Merritt. I'm the developer. Right now, we've been in discussions with a couple of builders who are really interested in the property. And our price point is set, between the 350 and the 400 range is where we're at. Now, that is their base at the 350, so it can go higher. So we'll go higher as whatever add-ons that people would like to have. You know how that kind of works. So I don't build houses, we just do infrastructure. But yes, sir, that's how, that's the price points we're looking at.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Patrick. Question?
No, not for him.
Okay. Anybody else?
Not for him.
Pardon?
Not for him.
Okay.
I do.
Okay.
Applicant be opposed to a decel lane?
I think that the challenge that we've run into is getting DOT to accept those, since they're not necessarily requiring them. And that was the challenge on other projects where there had been discussions for it if they weren't looking for it or deemed it necessary. They didn't want to take it into the state maintenance.
How about a set-aside? I know we don't have set-asides. Have it a structural base for a decel lane?
I mean, any fill that's being placed on the side of that road because of our left turn lane widening would have to be suitable to hold up the road. I mean, I don't know, I would assume we would be widening towards our side. So, I mean, there's, you know, I mean, all I can say is I know placement of material in the DOT right away has to meet a certain spec for structural stability. So it's not going to be topsoil. So, I mean, whatever fill we're putting out there for the widening would meet that intent if it was later shifted around.
The only reason why I say that is because at that corner lot there is under contract right now, or at least proposed to be under contract for development.
Here or
No,
here?
North, west is under contract, so assuming that we'll have some kind of application in the near future for that property. You know me, I like to widen roads as much as I can.
Hey, can I piggyback on that?
Sure.
I happen to agree with what Chris is talking about. I've traveled that road quite a bit, and you get into some of those subdivisions, and you can back traffic up for gosh knows how long, because you can't get over to the side to turn right, or if you turn right, you know, you gotta sit there and wait. You can't access. You back up into the subdivision and everything. And Newtown Road's not a wide road. And I think Chris has got a good point. Just an opinion.
Sure, very fair. I mean, I think, I don't want to put words in DOT's mouth, but I would think that from those traffic counts that were up earlier, if it was kind of decreasing the further you went east. I mean, maybe the reason DOT didn't feel a right turn lane was necessary was because most of the traffic was coming from the north here. And then so everybody coming back to home in the evenings would be coming in and using that left turn lane. I don't know if there would be a huge preponderance of traffic coming from the southeast and 75 coming west on Newtown and trying to make that right into the site. I just think it would be a very low traffic number in that direction versus most of the people are either going to be coming in on Newtown, touching the screen and drawing dots, excuse me. Most of it would either be coming in west on Newtown or south down Potter, and then using that left turn lane that we would have to build, I think is why that was their focus.
Any more questions for the applicant?
I have a question for staff.
Okay.
Is that Newtown and Potter Road, it's a new four-way stop, fairly recent. What's the plan for it? To remain that way, or is it one of the ones pending improvement?
I have a map of all our intersections. Let me see it. Where it stands on there. I think it's staying as a four-way stop though.
It just went four-way not so long ago, didn't it?
That's
Yes.
right, yeah. It took me by surprise. I don't normally go down that way, so
There we go.
it did.
Newtown and Potter does not have a project at that intersection. The reason why was because of the four-way stops. Otherwise, it probably would, but they seem to be doing the job in terms of reducing the crash rate.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments?
Where did you say the water was coming in from?
Closest water main was at the intersection of Newtown and Potter. So the developer would extend that to the subdivision.
Straight down Newtown to the development?
I'm assuming.
Yeah, we've looked at it conceptually. I mean, it would just come down the shoulder and cross over near our site.
So it's on the south side of Potter?
I think it's on this, I think it's like at the southwest.
Or, I'm sorry,
corner.
Newtown.
I think it's at the southwest corner of Newtown and Potter, or it may have gotten brought under that intersection and stopped there, and then the meter service, there's a meter service in the church. And then I think we would have to bring it from the southeast corner down Newtown and then cross over in front of our site for service.
Okay, any other comments before we move forward? Hearing none, I'd like to ask if there's anybody else that would like to speak either in favor or in opposition to this application. Seeing that there's none, Lee, any closing comments or anything that, okay. Then I'd like to close the public comments of this agenda. And is there any more discussion to discuss this rezoning request from the board?
I guess my only thing would be, again, that access. I know it's gonna develop, and I appreciate the development. Price point, size of the houses. As you get closer to that western corner there of Potter and Newtown, anticipating that there will be development there, I just would like to have some kind of foresight into future down the road and development into it. Whether it's, that Potter will end up becoming a traffic circle, whether that's 900 years away or not. But if you're gonna develop I don't know if there's a way to do like a compaction ready, where the state doesn't have to take it over. So the state doesn't have to have that angina about maintaining that road, but that at least you got the substrata of the road or the base of the road in place. I don't know if that's a possible engineering aspect.
I'm not sure.
That'd be considered a liability, to have an irregular shoulder like that.
Yeah, they would want to.
Build it or not.
I mean, we can certainly agree that we're not going to put topsoil in the area where the road could be widened in the future. I mean, that's certainly something that could be agreed on to just not further have there be a detriment to some future expansion. I mean, any widening of that's going to be a challenge just because of those large steel monopoles that are out there on the east side of the road. I mean, those are not going to go anywhere. So I mean, that's part of the challenge is, you really, what direction would they widen further in the future with that? But like I said, we can certainly agree not to put topsoil in some future road widening area. That's something we wouldn't do anyway.
I guess that, my opinion would be to, go forward with an approval to have it widen friendly as best we can for the future, developments that are gonna occur, likely at the Newtown Potter Road interchange there. Nothing that would obstruct that ability for the state to widen should they decide to widen.
Is there a problem with that motion being made, Lee?
As long as there's no encroachment in the way to widen. I think as long as you give staff the ability to kind of work with the applicant to figure out what that means.
I would ask that the motion be provided that the applicant agrees to it, that the deceleration lane is contingent upon approval by the NCDOT. My position is that if you're going to a four-way stop, you're never gonna have the stop signs going away. If anything ever happens there, you're gonna have a roundabout, which means they're always gonna be stopping and slowing down anyway. So the speed potential there is lessened 100% of the time. And DOT's perspective on deceleration lanes are that they don't really, if you have a good radius going into the site, you're not really impacting traffic that much. Or you're not really benefiting traffic that much unless you have high turning movements, high volumes on there, the volumes just aren't that high.
What do you think, Chris?
Warren, what's the distance between that entrance and Potter Road?
suggestion? I mean,
Mhm.
try to help
Sure.
offer something? I mean, with the discussion of moving this mailbox back here, you know, we could easily say that we could reserve a right-of-way for, you know, for someone else to come in and, you know, if they develop and need a connection to this full movement access, you know, we could reserve a right-of-way for them to make that, you know, connection. I mean, that way at least it's centralizing things. It's, because you're right, it's probably not, that there's probably not room for another full movement entrance between these two along that road. I mean, so they may have a right in, right out, or a full movement somewhere along Potter, depending on their frontage, but that way they could potentially use this in the future if they needed it for, you know, not for this applicant to build that road, but just to reserve the right of way for it, so then they could have another way into their property and help some of that traffic management.
Yeah, I think that would be beneficial to have that egress out of the properties. You know, I certainly don't want the applicant to take on the full load of that other development either. You know, I want to make sure that that applicant's going to get their full value of their land that they're
Yeah.
willing to put out there. But no, I think that's,
Yeah, because we could reserve a right of way right here and not impact any of these lots. And if they were to build, then they would build that, or they would further enhance Newtown roads, that, you know, the access that we would be building, and that would be, I mean, fairly smart growth, you know, practices at that point.
Okay, Chris?
You have that road that, that goes out toward Potter Road that's dead end right now. Why is that?
We asked for that.
Okay. Assuming that adjacent property might get developed, I take it, and that way you have
connectivity.
another way. So if the assumption is most of the people are coming down Potter Road to get here, they could make a left into that development and then come into this development that way.
Potentially, if that
Potentially.
was developed, yeah. I mean, that's another potential way for that to occur, yeah. But I think it's two different properties. I think the one that you're talking about that's under, the corner is one piece, and then the piece that we're stubbing
is.
that other road to is another piece.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Welcome.
Good, good.
And then-
Any more board discussion?
Just out of curiosity, the sewer hookup is probably where the break in the trees is?
Oh,
Because it's coming in from Winding Creek, right?
Right, I think the sewer for Winding Creek is actually along that Molly Branch, I believe is the name of the creek.
there is a, none of these aerials are really zoomed in
Yeah.
far, like, it's super blurry at this point, but there's somewhere in here, basically, there was a easement that's already been dedicated from one of these 4 roads back up to the property line.
Yeah,
Um,
what Union County Public Works does, that sewer main, I think runs down, Mike, can you go back to the map? That you're on?
Oh, this guy? Yeah.
Yeah, so, do you see, can you kind of point where the creek is, Molly Branch, yeah? So.
Oh, okay.
The main
Yeah.
runs through there, and it's kind of like with streets, when we require stub outs for future connectivity, when Public Works is reviewing a set of plans, like the Blinding Creek, they require dedicated right-of-way so future developments can have access to sewer. So there is a right-of-way to get to that sewer, they'll just have to extend the sewer line through that right.
Okay.
What kind of buffer is going to be between the two, the one that you're going to be developing and the one next door, the R40?
Down here?
Yeah.
I'm not, was that R40?
I'm sorry, which one?
The community to the, off Majestic Forest?
It is RE 40. Since it's residential, there's no minimum required buffer.
We were at least keeping, I don't remember for certain, it was either between 10 and 20 feet along at this narrowest point of an area to you know, replant a buffer through there.
There's no required, so you got 2 different standards. You got buffer standards and you've got tree safe areas. There is no required buffer, which typically in our ordinances planning use stuff. There is, however, required, tree safe areas, tree mitigation, so, which is a little bit better, because if you've already got mature trees in that area, it's better to keep those mature trees than it is to cut those down and plant back
Yeah, and that if we weren't able to save it, then there's mitigation and tree
Right.
survey things that we would have to do to properly mitigate removal within those
This,
areas.
yeah, this mitigation at 125%.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So not just, you don't just replace what's there, you replace
Yeah.
what's there plus more.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it's certainly in everyone's interest to try to save those trees, and we don't have a grading plan yet, so I can't say with certainty, but I mean, it would add value to, value to those homes, in the neighborhood to try to save those trees, so that's certainly, the goal. And there's a lot of trees back here that it certainly would be saved, because we're certainly not gonna be clearing.
So that was the question on the
Oh, right.
community meeting, how big is the tree buffer? So that's the existing trees that are gonna be left there? Okay.
And there seems to be a significant amount of space between that 10 to 20 feet on your narrowest and the neighboring homes to the
Yeah, this
east.
is probably, I mean, these lots, I think, are 120 feet deep, so I mean,
Right.
there's 120 feet
Significant.
on their lot, of existing woods between them and the property line, yeah. At least, keeps going away further they go this way.
Mhm.
Okay, is there any more discussion? Hearing none, I'd like to call for the motion from Chris that he talked about with the recommendation.
I'd make a motion to approve the plan as submitted along with the proposed potential right-of-way where the old mailbox location is, as well as moving that mailbox location up to that intersection internally, as discussed by staff. So have a proposed right-of-way where the old mailbox location was to create further connectivity between the lots there and Newtown and Potter Road.
Thanks, Chris. Before we call for the vote, is there any other discussion? Okay. Seeing that there's none, we'd like to go ahead and call for the vote. Those in favor of the motion as presented by Chris, raise your right hand. Those opposed, right hand. Okay. Thank you very much.
4 to 2. Oh, second?
I'll second.
Okay, with that, that ends that portion of the meeting. Thanks, everybody, for being here. We
Thank you.
appreciate
Thank
it
you, Paul,
very,
for
very
your
much.
time. One of these times I'm gonna forget the thumb drive. It's not tonight. You keep it? Yeah. Have a good night, all. Oh, appreciate it.
Next item is the planning staff report with agenda discussion and discussion of meeting time.
Recently, recent as last night, the Board of Commissioners has amended their regular meeting schedule. The first Monday of the month, they decided to move their meetings to 6 o'clock. And the second meeting of the month, which is on the third Monday, is being moved to 3 o'clock. And that was, they looked at all the adjacent counties, and they did a survey of, I think most of the counties in North Carolina. And Union County was one of very few that actually had meetings started at 7. That's why they decided to amend it. None of the counties that actually touched Union County started meeting at 7 o'clock. They all started early. And actually, I think I'm on the wrong one, because I think, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself. I think this one is discussion of you guys receiving agenda packets.
Or
So
not.
we've got new software. I'm jumping again, I'm excited about this. We started using the new software that the Board of Commissioners use, as you've seen in your agenda packets, we're putting the agendas together. One of the issues that's caused for staff is the agenda packets get much bigger, because we can provide you a lot more, easier to provide you more information. We put a lot of the background in there, we put the staff reports. It's pretty easy to kind of stitch those agendas together. Multiple staff members will create items, and they all feed into the system. does bring up is printing and mailing those is pretty expensive. We're trying to be prudent with the taxpayer dollar. We have talked with IT. We still would like to explore the digital option. IT is willing and at no really cost to anyone to give you guys a county email address. That's how the commissioners get their agenda. There's a couple ways we do it. We do it with a county email address, or when the agenda is posted to the website, we can just send you a link to the agenda so you can click on it and download it. But we wanted to get feedback from the board as how you felt about actually just receiving either, I think the link would probably be the best way to do it, but how you felt about that. Is there anybody that just absolutely wants a hard copy of their mail?
I'm all for the digital copy, but it is downloadable, right? So we can,
Yes.
we can read it beforehand, we can mark it up, do whatever we want, right?
Yes, that's what we would be sending you a link to. It's posted on the website. You can go to the website, download the planning board agenda, board of commissioners agenda, any other agendas that are posted out.
We can download selected pages,
Um,
or do we have to
I
download the
think
whole
you have to
darn
download the
thing?
whole thing, but then you can print selected pages. But you're not smiling.
I tell you, I'm gonna be totally upfront with you.
Just barely beyond hay baling wire and tin cans.
It's,
And so, and it's not gonna get any better. That's
No.
where I am. And so, it would be nice to have an email set up like you guys have, but I don't.
we'd have to have something, or I'd have to have something like what y'all got, because we proved that Pam couldn't get it to go, you couldn't get it to go, and so, and I'm with Windstream, and I just don't see it happening.
I say use Dropbox.
Fire. IT won't let us use Dropbox.
Can you do both?
How many did not get the package?
Louis didn't get it, I know.
I think it was too big.
I
Do
didn't
we
even get
have
an
to
email.
have it that big?
I didn't even get an email about
Yeah,
it.
well, and that's another thing we could do. We could try.
You just send it in two or three different
We'll-
chunks.
We could zip it. Some of you have to have some software to open that up.
Making simple things complicated. Just send the dang thing in about 4 different times, 4 different tries.
4 different days.
Well, I think the simplest.
Part 1 of 4, part 2 of 4, part 3 of 4, part 4 of 4.
I think the simplest solution may be to send a link to just the agenda when it's posted online. That way you can just click on it.
I just
I get, my only issue with the link to the agenda, like tonight, I emailed Pam this morning and said, hey, I didn't get the package, can you send me one? She said it's too big. You know, you can go to
Go
the
online.
the
Yeah,
website
so
and
that's
get
it.
on there, which is fine, but then you've got to click in and click out and click in and
Yeah.
click out, and it
You're
gets
all
kind
over
of
the place to
clunky,
get to it.
you know? Because you got to hit each agenda item and open that each agenda item up.
Yeah.
And then it opens up a
He's
new
right.
window, you get into it, and then you want to bounce out of it.
You can't just scroll, because I don't.
No, you can't
No.
scroll through the whole thing,
No.
you've got to open
That's
up.
how mine is, and at my house, I can just open it up and scroll down through the whole, it is tabulated on the side where you can click on each item and it jumps you to that. But you should be able to scroll down through the whole document.
It's,
I tried.
I couldn't get it. I'm with him. Because Pam
Well,
called the
and
house.
and that's not a good thing, because I'm
Well,
not
it's
Mr.
not a good thing.
Technology.
Because I told Pam, I said, my wife's a techno geek in our house.
I think you want to pull up the. It's good in Union County, you can link there off the main, you don't need to go to the planning board page.
So this is what it looks like, and then you just click on this right here, and there's the other PDF.
Yeah, so.
Download it.
Okay.
If you're clicking on the.
Oh, I think I went in one further into the agenda, or,
Online agenda.
Yeah, the,
If you do that, then
Yeah, it's all fancy and
Yeah, you gotta
hyperlinked
click
and
on each
whatnot.
one.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
click on the PDF and then you have it.
Okay, I think I screwed up.
And then what happens is, the reason why it probably showed up weird is because you have these normal 8.5 by 11 pages, but then probably down here, there's an E-size site plan. Oh, gosh. What is this about?
My printer didn't like that.
Yeah, that's,
You got 3 words.
that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
But this is a site plan,
yeah.
All right,
so, yeah, that's what happens when you have different size documents.
all right, I don't know
How
what
do
I
you get
did
to
there.
that now?
Barney, you would get a link to this page, and then, you know, I'd copy and email it to you, and it would come up, and then I just
Can you
click on
scroll
the
down a bit?
PDF.
I don't know what the hell I was doing then.
So just click on the agenda right there.
What I see, if you send an email and had the link to this page.
Right,
And that pops up, go to the download agenda,
yep,
I could live with that.
Yeah, I can too.
that's it.
I can live with that.
I hate reading all stuff on screen, but
Bjorn, how early does that get posted?
I don't know.
It's posted the next day, so when
Yeah.
Pam puts the agenda together and sends it to IT, they post it, it's usually posted the next day.
so if she sends us a heads up and we know to go there.
Yeah, we would just send it back.
The other recommendation on, but when we get to the meeting, we'll still have a hard copy, right?
We could do
Or
that.
no?
Well,
Just one, pass around.
the hope was to get away from, the Board of Commissioners generally does not, they don't get hard copies anymore. If they want a hard copy, they print it out. They don't want-
Themselves.
And the reason was, their agenda packages are huge, a lot of paper, a lot of staff time. Our agenda packages are getting that way, so it's a lot of paper, a lot of staff time. We were trying to find a way to save in county resources.
Yeah, their consent agendas are like 42 items or something. I was like,
Could we all agree then to do the, like we're talking about, an email and then,
Give it a shot.
I'd be for that.
We'll give it a shot.
As long- as long as we all get it.
And we'll shout out to you if it doesn't work.
Yeah, if
We
you,
aren't bashful.
if you can't find it, or just let us know.
Okay.
So, next item on there, I think I've already kind of talked about it a little bit. So we wanted to gauge the board and see if there's any thoughts of wanting to move the agenda, the meeting time or not.
I personally would rather have it at 6:30, but that's just me. I would let the group here say what they'd like to do.
There's pros and cons about it. A lot of people.
So, I don't know if these guys are all working, so.
I
Who
came
works?
straight from a job site to here.
That's
And I
what's
know
up.
I
Everett's,
just barely got it.
I know Everett's in the same situation as you.
If you move it any earlier in the day, you can forget me on the board.
And that's the feedback
Okay.
we wanted. We weren't,
Yep.
it's the,
Which
board
might be good
commissioners
for you
who
in the
were there,
county.
we just kinda wanted to go through that.
I've got a long walk from at the other end of Main Street.
Oh, you poor thing.
I gotta drive my truck, that's how long it is.
Does the air get cold by the time you get here?
Robert, Christopher, I didn't chime in.
I mean, I work up just south of the airport, so
Okay.
needless
Okay.
to say, that's not a hop, skip,
I
and
think it's
jump.
settled. Okay.
I work, if I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna be here because I work from home, so I can do whatever time.
Well, it sounds like we got at least probably 3 members who probably got all the time. Make it.
No problem.
And I think Bjorn had mine.
As a follow-up from the big intersection map review last week that you, now, we are officially, as of 2:30 this afternoon, in the public comment phase of our report for our critical intersection program for the county. This is our effort to manage the expectations of the community, as well as elected officials, as well as in our coordination with the municipalities and with the NCDOT regarding where do we focus our efforts on intersections to improve. This document on the right was the first one we did in the county. It was about 4 years ago, and it has served us well. And we've received funding for about 2/3 of the projects of the intersections that were identified through that. I had 15, and we kept our update to 15 as well. So our motivation was that we have a lot of growth still in the county, And intersections are high-value, relatively low-cost types of improvements that we can do. There's also a lot of funding sources that we can work towards, both within the NCDOT, the Transportation Planning Organization in Charlotte, and potentially even private sector through developments. So we worked with the municipalities and the NCDOT, as well as economic development and the school system, to identify a list of intersections, evaluate them, come up with our recommendations. This was at a community meeting in Waxhaw in probably April. Public input was a big part of the process. Like mentioned, I think last month, we had over 700 people take a survey, identifying issues throughout the county. As you zoom in on this map, this is a static image, but if you were to zoom in, you'd see specific hotspot information. As you zoom out, or it aggregates the comments, so you can see we had 300 in the Marvin Wax area. If you were to zoom in, it would start to focus in on specific intersections. As you can see by this chart here, we had a good distribution. It wasn't all newcomers, it wasn't all people who have lived here their entire lives. It's good distribution in terms of how long they've lived here. We also had good policy information. We had questions in there regarding awareness of whose responsibility is to take care of these roads. Most of the people didn't know that Union County does not maintain roads. Good chunk did, but most did not. What about the fact that we're putting municipal and county money on state projects? The 3/4 said, yes, if it gets them built sooner, we're fine with that. What to focus on? First issue was safety, second issue was congestion. We agree with that. Are you comfortable driving through a roundabout? Almost everyone was comfortable driving through a roundabout. And almost everyone thought that roundabouts improve intersections. So that
You
was,
asked the question, does anybody know how to drive through a roundabout?
I was gonna say, the 8% that I get stuck behind, sure. is-
well, this one, I just noticed on the website, this text is not italicized. The italic is the response. 92% are comfortable driving through a roundabout, so that would be my answer to your question.
I tell you, Waxhaw, what is it?
Waxhaw, Marvin, and Newtown.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
especially
Those
the
two right
Newtown
there.
one. I mean, those soccer moms, they fly through there. I mean, if you go, you better go or you're gonna get,
Every Tuesday, Wednesday morning.
it's something else.
This was the,
Close where I go.
this is the ranking process we used. It's a matrix, adds up to 100 points. The perfect project is 100 points. The highest scoring project we had was 70. And this is the list of the 15 intersections that we've identified. What I would highlight is the fact, it doesn't do just the municipality column, is that there are most of the projects located in municipalities, which means we have huge opportunities for partnership. That's a good thing. So Waxhaw and Monroe had the highest scoring projects, but you also had them up in Fairview and in Unionville. This is a map of the all the intersections. This is a busy map, so I'll pull down the legend. First, you have funded projects. These are these little barriers. See, like 75 and Rocky River, currently under construction. In another 6 or 8 weeks, we'll eliminate this dot because it'll be a finished intersection. There's lots of other funded intersection projects throughout the county. Then you have the black dots, which are the ones that are holdovers from the previous process. We have a couple on Monroe Road, a couple on Providence, one on 75, one up Rogers and Unionville Indian Trail, I believe. So those are still eligible that we should work towards. Then you have the ones that we looked at through this process, and they totaled 54 intersections. There were red and green dots. The green dots are the top half, the red dots are the bottom half. So the red dots got filtered out pretty early. Then the top half, we did some more analysis of them, and out of that top 25, roughly, we whittled it down to the top 15. Those 15 are identified with the pickaxe and shovel, which means they're recommended for design. And those intersections are, again, you have Marvin, Waxhaw, Weddington, Stallings, Monroe, Unionville, Fairview. They're all represented. And that's good because, again, we can share in the cost. And what we do next is we work through CARTPO to get a grant to do the design and traffic engineering of them to find the best design to deal with the safety and congestion issues, as well as the cost for that, for doing that. And then we take that information and then we apply for the construction money to actually go and build that project based on that design. And then if you want the report, click here. If you have questions or comments, email me or call me. And that's what the report looks like. It's draft. And the intention is that we're going to put this on social media, people are going to share it, and we'll get comments and awareness. But this is the format we're using for outreach. But you can read the whole report if you want. It's about 25 pages. So that's what we're doing with intersections. This will hopefully go to the Board of Commissioners in middle of July, where they'll approve this. They've put $60,000 as local match money for the planning grant in the budget for next year, so we've got the money, but we are looking to share the cost with the municipalities. Multiple municipalities have put money in their budget for next year, so we think we're gonna get a 50-50 share, where if it's $60,000 in local money we gotta come up with, we'll get $30,000 from the county and $30,000 from the municipalities. So it's a nice sales pitch. So I'm happy to answer any questions about
Any
the overall
questions for
process or
Bjorn?
intersections.
Good. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bjorn, are you gonna be going through this in more detail Monday during the CARPO meeting?
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, any other comments? Vic? Okay. Any comments, Christopher? Closing or anything?
No, sir.
Robert?
No, sir. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Chris? Patrick?
I'm good.
Charlie? Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We had,
I'll second.
Always a
Patrick?
unanimous vote.
all those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Oh, shoot. That's funny.
So before Dick turns us off, I've got a secret.